Okay. Hello, Emil.
Hello, Melanie. How are you?
Very well. Tu mi valo acho.
Ami bhalo achi.
Good. Okay. So, can you tell me a little bit about what you see as some of the challenges in Bangladesh for could be the development of the cities, could be the environment?
Challenges, if I have to think in Bangladesh, the major one would be the huge population that we have, because no matter what type of development activity we are undertaking now, it's like always thinks about at least millions of people, and a lot of the time it's very difficult to really do something for that big of a population. For example, we need proper sanitation facilities in the villages, but it's huge. It's so many people that it's really difficult for the government also to implement a lot of these things. For example, agricultural lands are depleting every year because we have a huge population, and then we cannot make enough food for our own country. So I would still say population would be one of the biggest challenges in Bangladesh right now.
And what about environmental challenges? Obviously, that connects to population.
Yeah, a lot of these things are very much interconnected. So environmental degradation somehow are started because of this huge population. For example, deforestation is there, which is one of the big issues here. And then there are a lot of awareness problems, like people are not aware of taking care of their environment. The rich industrialists often are not putting any treatment plants in their industries, so are polluting the water very badly. So population is definitely is connected to the environmental problems that we are facing, but there is also this lack of awareness among the local people, or just the um, how can I describe it? This is just probably their greed, that they don't want to spend some money on treating their effluent, rather than they just feel like just throwing the effluent directly and they're saving some millions of taka. It's probably also that which is connected to the environmental problems we are facing. And then there are definitely transboundary problems that we are facing. For example, creating dams upriver and manipulating the natural flow of the rivers, which was the main source of water for irrigation of the agricultural lands. And now, because of that disturbance, we don't have that natural flow anymore. We don't have enough water to irrigate the places. So that would be one of the problems, that the international politics here between India and Bangladesh, the different agreements, the different treaties, which are often not very well thought of. The other environmental problems would be that because of this huge population, a lot of the time conserving the environment or conserving the wildlife to the Bangladesh government is not the topmost priority thing. It's always somewhere in the mid-level. It's not the most important, because you don't see the answer immediately afterwards. You see the answer, you see the results maybe 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 50 years time. Whereas for a country like Bangladesh, where we have a huge population and then the people are poor, we really need to ensure that our people have food for tomorrow. So for the government, most cases, spending money on agricultural developments is much more important than spending money on some environmental awareness program or campaign, or spending money on disaster management is much more important than spending money on conservation of tigers.
Right. What about the politics of the BNP and the Awami League? And I hear about Muhammad Yunus as a potential leader of a new third party or something like that to challenge the two entrenched parties that kind of fight for power and democracy in Bangladesh. What do you?
I don't know. It's bit with especially with Awami League and BNP. Both these political parties are almost equally corrupted and equally bad. So, as a layman, I don't see much of a difference whichever parties are coming on power. There are smaller issues that these parties are taking care of, but not taking any steps to mitigate the bigger problems. For example, just a very stupid example would be that when the Awami League government came on power this time, they spent like a few thousand crore dollars to change the name of the Dhaka International Airport. And for a country like Bangladesh, which is a developing country, which depends on a lot of foreign aid, this is like the most luxurious thing that they can afford. Like, why would they want to do that?
Yeah.
With that amount of money, I'm sure they can improve the water and sanitation facilities in a lot of the places of the hill tracts, a lot of the places of the saline zones where people are having really difficulties finding fresh water. So these are just stupid decisions made by the government. BNP is no better. When they come, they also do a lot of this kind of silly things which have no reason at all. A lot of back in the 80s, from 82 to 89 in Bangladesh, we had Ershad as a president,
Right.
and he was like a dictator.
Uh-huh.
He was probably more corrupt than all these people, but he did a lot of good things that the country actually needed back then. For example, even now Bangladesh has only one center, Dhaka, which is back in 83, 84, 85, Ershad was the first one to think that we should develop all these sub-districts equally so that people do not come to Dhaka always. So he started it, but when when the Awami League government, when the BNP government took over from Ershad, they never implemented any of those laws. Ershad was one of the first one to think of digging lots of man-made channels so that during the flood season the water go directly out in the Bay of Bengal. So even though he was corrupt, he had a clear vision that he wants to see at least the country a bit developed. At the same time, he wanted a lot of money for himself, but that's all right. I can live with that. Somebody becoming multi-billionaire, but also doing something for the country.
Right.
Because afterwards, nothing happened for the country. We had nothing. I mean, every day we see. I mean, as a layman, I sometimes have to take the train to travel to different parts of Bangladesh. Every day, our trains have to wait at least on each journey at least 2 hours for some crossing. Right? There is only one line. So the other train has to go, and then this train would go. And after the British government left, Bangladesh government never installed any rail lines. So these are just stupid things. A lot of this money they're spending on such bad work, they can just use some on developing these things, and that would save every day a couple of hours for thousands of people.
Oh yeah, when I think of traffic in Dhaka, there's so many intelligent, talented people spending so much time sitting in traffic where they could be using their gifts.
Traffic in Dhaka is becoming worse and worse because there are every day thousands of people moving into Dhaka city. But those are also a lot of this short-sightedness of these people that when they were making the roads, they were not thinking that it should be made at least 3 times bigger than what it is now, and then people start taking over those lands which are probably government-owned land. Just a small example is that Bangladesh government is now planning to make a bridge over the Ganges River, which which is now, they've been discussing about it for many years now. It's still on process, but right now the roads connecting to that area are quite good, but they are quite narrow. It's only two lanes, one going this way, one going that way. If you are really planning to make a bridge over there, that means the flow of transport would increase by 3 times, 4 times, 5 times in 10 years. So why don't you, while it's still empty, make it 3 times bigger, the road? Maybe it seems like people would think that it's not needed right now, but in 10 years time you would definitely need it. I mean, it's just they only think about this year, next year, and if something happens, if that thing is damaged, in 2 years time they'll make again and they will earn some money again. So this is just a lot of these very corrupt political leaders whose decisions are like interrupting the normal, the daily life of general people.
Yeah.
It's very difficult for a layman who live in Dhaka city or anywhere in Bangladesh and not being disturbed by all these decisions which are being taken by all these leaders.
What gives you hope in Bangladesh? Things that regular people are doing, or if some leaders have led efforts that you see moving Bangladesh in a good direction?
Hope would be, I don't see anything coming in next 10-20 years, honestly speaking, because we are still a very illiterate society. We are still a very illiterate country. For to change this whole system, we really need good education, and majority of the people should know what are their rights, and then they can only bring it forward and challenge the government.
Yeah.
Easiest way, I would say, I used to give this example before, that there are two ways to make polluted water clean. One is that you add the necessary chemicals and clean the water, the bowl of water. The other way is to just pull the whole water out and get some new water. So the best thing now would be to just kick all these political leaders out of the country, or just send them all to the jail, and then get new people. Maybe change the whole government system in such way that the government jobs pay more than any private jobs. So much that the private companies can't even think about. Only then the good people would start applying to get the government jobs. I don't see any hope unless the governments are trying to change all these things, and they won't do it because that would challenge their presence in that whole system.
Yeah. I talked to one student who said he would like to go into government work because he cares about public policy, but he felt like as a college student, the political parties expect him to be one of the thugs during the hartals out on the streets hurting people, and he said the last thing he wants to do is go into public policy to hurt people, so he's not willing to do what he needs to as a young person to gain any position in a political party, which is disheartening because he's a really good person who has good interests.
You never know. The way Bangladesh government is going right now, both these parties, there might be a repetition of what happened in 75 with Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. There might be people who are just so angry with both these political parties that they plan this kind of assassination. You never know. Like, these people are right now disturbing so much of the general lifestyle of all these people, common people. They don't realize that having a hartal means that millions of rickshaw pullers earn nothing and they have nothing to eat.
Yes.
For them, that doesn't make any difference. They don't care about all these things. So
Right.
to see a change, I don't know. I would rather wait for another 15-20 years until we have a bit more educated people, like the percentages are up higher, because there are a lot of programs going on to educate the rural people. And maybe in 20 years time we get more educated people, and then they tend to go forward and do some higher studies and learn about the problems, and then they can actually question the government. A lot of them don't even know that they have the rights to question the government anytime. Hope could be, I don't know, still a generation away.
That's an interesting, patient perspective.
I'm a very patriotic person. I don't want to go out of Bangladesh and live there, but I don't like it the way Bangladesh is going. I don't like it, but still I somehow have to live in Bangladesh. I love my country, but I don't see any hope in a generation probably.
Yeah.
Maybe I won't even see it. My life would be still controlled by all these man-made problems, all these politically created problems. I don't know if my children or my nephew, nieces, maybe they would see the changes, maybe. Not before that. Don't see any hope for that. Sorry.
You gotta find the hope from the dolphins and the monkeys and deer and tigers.
We are trying to be happy with small works, and not that many people in Bangladesh are thinking about wildlife, so we try to just think about wildlife. Even then it's not easy. People don't care about wildlife because they have much more important problems.
Right, the concerns of daily living. Yeah.
The biggest issues.
Thank you.
My pleasure.